Good evening and welcome. Tonight we will be going over the history and geography of Chechnya, technically in Russia. Technically. Literally, but we'll get into that. This is going to be a very heavy topic. And if you've seen my other videos on places that have very heavy histories, you know that I treat it very delicately once we get to the actual events that are a bit much. I treat them very delicately, and that is for two reasons. One is that this is YouTube, and I need to make my video advertiser friendly so that I get a paycheck. This is my full-time job. So I have to choose my words very carefully. And number two, this is a relaxation video. One of the goals of this channel is to get you relaxed and calm or off to sleep while you learn about the world. So I can't be going into graphic detail about atrocities. That's not going to help you go to sleep. So just know that once we reach that point in history, I'm not making light of it. I'm not diminishing it. We're just talking about things very relaxingly. It's best that I can. Chechnya is located in the Caucasus region. You can kind of see, I'm really zoomed in, but you can see this right here is Georgia. Down here is Azerbaijan. And you can see here the Caucasian Mountains. I don't know how much you can see, but these are the Caucasus Mountains. Very big, big mountains. And one of the natural dividers between Europe and Asia. For some people, debatable. I didn't draw the borders of Chechnya just because this map was so, I mean, it's not a bad map. I just wish that the borders were on here, but you'll see them on Google Earth, so just go with it. Nearby is Dagestan. Over here we can see Ingushetia. I can never say it. Ingushetia. North Ossetia is over here. That's going to come up in our story of history. So on and so forth. These areas, along with a couple others that I don't think you can see on here, in this area of the mountains, are the home of the Nak peoples. And I hope I'm saying that right. Where all of these groups of peoples ultimately descend from here in the Caucasus. I guess you could probably say the same about probably not the Georgians, but many of the ethnic groups in this area come from the Nak peoples. Their language comes from the Nak language. Just a fun fact. So I don't bring it up in history. I'll bring it up now. There are three main geographic regions in Chechnya. Number one, of course, being the mountains. You can see rolling through here. Big, snowy, beautiful Caucasus Mountains. Next up are the river valleys. Flowing through this area here, you can see the mighty Terek River. Here's the capital in this area of, let me try that again. The capital of Chechnya is in this area. It is Grozny. It's located, I think it says it right there, on the Sunja River. There are many rivers here in this valley area. And the third geographic area up here is known as the Nogai Steppe. The Nogai Steppe. It's a my goodness, I can't talk. I'm nervous. This is a semi-desert region with lots of farmland. So it's three somewhat very different areas. Mountains, rivers, steppe. I think with that being said, we should jump into history. I'll do my best. Yes, I mentioned the Nak peoples. They've been here for a very, very, very long time. The point I think that created Chechen culture as opposed to the other cultures around here would be during the times of the Mongol invasions. The people here up in the mountains started to build these big tower fortresses, some of which are still around today. I'm looking for this airplane to pass. Okay, yes, towers up in the mountains. Hopefully I'll find some on Google Earth to show you. I know I've seen them, but I can't remember where they are. We'll have a time on Google Earth. In the 1600s, in this area of the Caucasus, the people began to convert to Islam. Lots of outside influence from neighbors nearby Persia, of course a hop, skip, and a jump away. But also to the north was Imperial Russia, which was Eastern Orthodox, Christian sect. So it was seen as a way to be the opposite of this massive power up here, which was threatening them. And, they were definitely threatening them because by 1785, Russia really started to assert themselves in this area, and the people started to push back. Tiny wars, rebellions, things like that. It was during this time in 1818 that Grozny was founded as a military fortress. Not long after that, in 1823, oil was discovered in this area. By 1859, Russia had complete control. They had squashed the last rebellion, killed the last imam that was leading a push against Russia, and had full control over the area and the people here, and they began to extract the oil here in 1893. The railroad was completed at the time, and they were free to cart the oil out and make a profit. It was a huge oil producing area. Also a hop, skip, and a jump away is Baku, which was the other big Russian oil producing area. So this corner was and is very, very valuable to Russia, and they wanted to preserve it as much as possible. But Imperial Russia soon collapsed during World War I. The Tsar was toppled, and the people here thought this was a perfect time to declare their independence, and they certainly did. They would join together the different regions here to form the Mountain Republic. But in 1920, the Bolsheviks came and conquered this area for themselves and set up an autonomous oblast here in Chechnya. They would merge it in 1934 with the Ingush over here to create one big oblast. It was dissolved, however, during World War II. So during World War II, it was quite tumultuous. The Nazi Germans tried to make a push to capture Grozny so they could take over the oil industry here. That was in 1942. That attempt did fail. But in 1944, Stalin became convinced that the Chechens were sympathetic with the Germans and would help them invade Russia. So Stalin dissolved the oblast and he forced all of the Chechens out, deported all of them, hundreds of thousands. And if they couldn't be put on a train to be sent away, they were removed from their bodies, to put it very gently. Very tragic event. Chechnya wouldn't be reinstated until 1957, when the Soviet Union was trying to undo a lot of Stalin's ideas. And the Chechens were allowed to come home, which they did, the ones that had survived at least. However, not long after that, the Soviet Union would collapse in 1991, and Chechnya would declare its independence again. They were led by President Dudayev, who is a beloved figure in Chechnya today, that's why I mention him. However, things did not go well with an independently ran Chechnya. It was quite unstable, not to mention Russia did not recognize this and still asserted complete control. things reached a tipping point by 1994. Again, I'm not going to get into extreme details about the events, but things were violent between the two powers, and Russia invaded Chechnya. That would be the first Chechen war. It would be very brutal, very devastating to the Chechens here. But it would come to a ceasefire and treaty in 1996. Russian soldiers were gone by 1997. A little bit of normalcy came back, but it was still a very tumultuous region. There were still many guerrilla fighters, especially in the mountains. They would kidnap people to make profit, so it was dangerous to even visit if you weren't Chechen. And a movement for Islam, for extremist Islam, was brewing. It had been brewing before. It was reaching a tipping point. They wanted their own place. I'm hesitating to say the words, but people who believe a religion to the extreme wanting their own area. Those people entered Dagestan in 1999 to try to link up with other like-minded peoples there and create their own place. There was also many explosions that were probably set on purpose, probably by Chechens over in Moscow and other parts of Russia. That was enough for Putin to say, we're going in again, and the Second Chechen War broke out. It would be even more devastating to the people here. Grozny was pretty much bombed to oblivion. The UN declared that it was the most destroyed city in the world. Every single building in the city had some type of damage. Many people lost their lives. Many people had to flee. The fighting was very intense. But Russia really just came in and... again, how do I make this relaxing? How do I make this calm and quiet? They got it done, pretty much. The mission accomplished for Russia, let's say. That did not stop a lot of people, not a lot, but an important few in Chechnya who would attack people with a purpose, who would blow things up on purpose. There were some very tragic events involving these people, and to say it very basic and relaxing, in 2002, a theater was taken over in Moscow that led to many deaths, mainly due to the Russians trying to end the situation in that theater. But there is also an event in 2004 in North Ossetia, in this town, Beslan, where the extreme people of Islamic faith took over a school. And many people lost their lives in that school, including a couple hundred children. Which I read a source that said that that was the tipping point for Russia to really start cracking down on these individuals. And was also a tipping point for the Chechen people to say, enough is enough. Like, we get it. Of course we want this cause. But there's a line, And that line was crossed. The leader at that time was Akhmat Kadyrov. He was pretty much installed by Putin. He was very pro-Russia, but he must have towed a line somewhere because he blew up. He lost his life on purpose from someone else, not from himself, from Russia, I'm sure. In 2007, his son Ramzan Kadyrov was put in power, and he is still in power today. He is very much in Putin's pocket. But in doing that, Grozny has been rebuilt, and it's now a gorgeous city. It is, my jaw was on the floor. I don't know. Hearing about Chechnya in the news growing up and throughout the 2000s, I don't know, it reminds me of when I did my video on Central Darfur. How you hear about these places in the news where these atrocities are happening, and you just assume that these places are wasteland, just a bunch of nothing. I always just figured Chechnya was just a bunch of mountains. But it's not. It's so much more beautiful than that. And I was looking around just like in awe because it is a bunch of mountains, but they're beautiful mountains. It's the Caucasus. They're stunning mountains. The area is beautiful. Grozny is a beautiful city. Sadly, it's beautiful due to Russian money being poured into it. And the people here are becoming more and more pro-Russian, especially when it comes to Russia invading other countries, if you know what I mean. We'll talk about that next week. We're going to Ukraine next week. On my channel, at least. So, nevertheless, that is that. Also, Ramzan Kadyrov looks exactly like it's eerie. Exactly like this guy. One time I was on an Amtrak and this Amish guy came up to me and tried hitting on me, and I was just like, that's a hard no. I just looked at him like, no. It looks exactly like that guy. It's really just, that guy was awful. And I don't know. There's a vibe coming off of this man. It's the same vibe I got from that Amish guy on the train, just like a hard no. I do not trust this man. But that's me personally. That being said, that is the history of Chechnya. It's a rough one. I spent a week trying to write this script. I still did not do the best job. But that's the best I can do, to be honest. So, with that being said, let me dim the lights. I'm filming this in the daytime, and the sun is like hitting my window. So even though the curtains are closed and everything's shut, there might still be some light. So it may not be completely dark, and I apologize if that's the case. I won't know until I do it, but I will stop yapping. I'll go grab my tablet, and we will look at Chechnya on Google Earth. Let's go. Here we are in Chechnya. I think it looks okay. Does it look okay? Let me know. In terms of the lighting. Let's start by zooming out so you can see exactly where we are in the world. Now you can see the borders of Chechnya here. And you can really kind of see the three distinct zones, right? Mountains, you can see the rivers here, and the steppe. So we are in the Caucasus area. This white line is a bunch of snowy mountains. Those are the Caucasus Mountains. You can see they make up the border with Georgia and Russia. They also flow into Azerbaijan. This Caucasus area here between the Black Sea and the Caspian Sea. That one corner where, is it Europe? Is it Asia? Culturally European, geographically Asian. It's Eurasia, right? The answer is yes. It is a little bit of both. Beautiful Chechnya. Let's start in Grozny. Loud car, I'm sorry, loud car, go away, loud car. Go away, loud car. You can already tell that it's super Soviet-y by all of the squares here. You can see the river snaking through. But you can also see areas where they haven't quite finished rebuilding. These are all apartment buildings, you see. There's still some work going on in the city because, like I said, it was destroyed. You can see down here too. Not looking totally done yet near looks like the train station's right there. Not quite finished. But there's a cool circuit. It's like there's areas that aren't quite done, but then you're like, whoa, look at that. That's so cool. And we're going to go look at some of them. This is Vladimir Putin Way. Really tells you who was the one responsible for building all of this. We go over here and we see some memorials. Yeah, not done over there, is it? Memorial complex here. And I used to be able to read Cyrillic, but oh my goodness. Wow. So I can't really tell you if it's in Russian or Chechen, but looks like some history here and lots of memorials. Lots of little memorials along here. If we go here. I thought this was neat. Look, it's a map of Chechnya. It is like concrete park area. It doesn't really show you from the ground, but it's definitely like a big square. And then over here is the mosque that you saw in the intro. This is the Ahmed Kadyrov Mosque, and it's gorgeous. Look how beautiful. Stunning inside. And a tomb there as well. I wonder if that's Kadyrov. Nearby, we'll see the beautiful skyscrapers. We'll look at them in a second, but this area is just gorgeous. You can see the big pavilion over there. Let me show you. Look at the gardens around it. How pretty is that? Like, it's so beautiful here. And then over here you can see their shadows. Is the big skyscraper zone. I wish it was in 3D so you could really see. Looks like things were built. This says there's a tower there. There probably is right now. You can see they're building a big building here. The business sector, I suppose. The skyscraper sector. Beautiful parks. The parks here are so pretty. So pretty. Look at that. Like, I'm sure they're beautiful in person, but from above, they're absolutely stunning. Absolutely, even over here. So I read that this mosque was where the imperial palace once stood. So they built that on top. I think this is, oh, this is the, like, big theater, the, what's the word, Philharmonic. And look how pretty. Well, it's lovely inside. And really pretty on the outside. Very, like, Roman with all the columns. Or even Greek, right? All kinds. This is the presidential palace today. Look at all the grounds. Nice. We'll talk about that in a minute. But yeah, it's beautiful. Like, they've really done a job rebuilding this city. By them, I mean the Russians. Gosh, yeah, this city is getting really pretty. They're doing a good job rebuilding, and hopefully this will all stay. There's a couple neat little museums and such around, but I'm not going to show you those because this video will be too long. All the parks are pretty too. As always, I highly encourage you to check out this area in your own time. Actually, I think it's this museum. I'll show you. Yeah, because this is the National Museum of the Chechen Republic. We should look at this one at least. Yeah, I always encourage you to look around. Look at the, I think that looks like a gun. Yeah, that's a sword. That's like a pistol, and then a little guitar guy. And the fluffy hats. I love it. Lots of ancient weapons, and wolves are very much a theme in Chechen history. I've noticed in researching this place. Some warriors there. Wow. Intense. Those are instruments. There's an accordion. Wow. And little potteries. And we'll skip that. But yeah. That's Grozny today. I also encourage you because what if, like, when are these pictures from? Like, usually the date is in this corner. What if I go like that? I don't know. They keep changing Google Earth. I can't see, like, when this picture was taken, but, like, what if we look back in a year and we can see all of the building stuff that they've done, all the new places? That would be cool, wouldn't it? You can see all of the beautiful farmland here along the rivers. I didn't really find much in that area, but we will explore the mountains next. Anyway, this is like an English. The towers. That was easy. We found one. There are all sorts of these little towers all throughout the mountains. You see a little community of them there. Beautiful. ones that have seen better days. So yeah, if my memory serves me correctly and my sources were correct, they started building these to prevent the Mongols from coming through. The Mongols still came through, but they were defenses, big tower defenses. I imagine it would be like Lord of the Rings, where they had a way to like signal down the line so that they could warn people of something coming, you know? I imagine. This is, I believe, the highest point, I believe, if I remember correctly, in this area of the mountains in Chechnya. And it's stunning. Look, they've climbed to the top. I can only say it's stunning so many times, but the Caucasus are such pretty mountains. I also say that about a lot of mountains, let's be real. It's hard to find ugly mountains, but gosh, it's like the Alps, isn't it? Beautiful. Man, I bet during sunrise and sunset, these mountains turn all kinds of beautiful colors. Let me make sure we're still in Chechnya, not floating down to Georgia or something. Oh yeah, we're floating down to Georgia. I gotta be careful. I love Georgia, don't get me wrong. It's on my bucket list. But not today. We're not going there today. I know I found some little sites that you could hike to that have the towers and such. The towers are also on the UNESCO tentative list. This looks like one here. That'd be cool if they could add it someday so that they can be protected. Oh yeah, look at this. Cool towers. It looks like a little place to worship there. Some kind of cool old stone, maybe a headstone. You can see the tower there. Yeah, I like to think that it was like Lord of the Rings, or like Mulan, where they like send up a flare or something, and then the person at the other tower sees it and they send up a flare, and it sends like this fast chain reaction down the mountains. Look at this. Pretty cool. He's climbing. Wow, that is a steep climb. And all the beautiful trees. Oh. These cows are here to say hello. They're so cute. What a great photo. And they're helping each other climb up this big mountain. It's so nice. But yeah, here's another one. Not a lot of pictures here, but look at that. Looks like a little house there. Very cool. What is that? It's that beautiful picture of the sun shining on the snow. Yeah, there's not a lot of photos around. I think that's just because, like, there's no tourist area. Let's see what this is, if anything. It's not like people are coming here very often to take pictures. It has a reputation in Russia for being extremely dangerous due to all of the histories of kidnappings, right? But I watched a lot of tourist videos that were filmed in the past couple of years. At least in Grozny, not in the outside areas. Well, I saw some in the mountains. And it seems like the Chechen people here are like more surprised at seeing tourists and being like, oh, well, welcome. Are you hungry? Like, what do you want to see in the town? Like, and all of the people making videos are like, people think this place is dangerous. It's so hospitable. Like, people here are nice. So it seems that the tides are changing in that sense. There's a straight line there, designating the borders. But yeah, this is the steppe landscape. And like I said, semi-arid, tiny communities here. Semi-arid, semi-desert, I mean to say. But probably pretty arid too. It is steppe. It's mostly just grass, hardly any trees. You can see little tree lines there. was. I think it was here. I was looking at this. Yeah. And there's one there. So I'm thinking, like, is this someone's, like, plot of farmland? Because we know Mother Nature doesn't make straight lines. There's no way this is natural. These were planted in that way to designate some kind of natural barrier. But it's huge. There's no way that that's, like, a plot of land, especially because there's, like, a settlement of some kind here. There's a couple of people that live here. Maybe they own the huge area. What is that? Oh, it's a bunch of bales of products, hay or wheat or something. So what's going on with these big squares? Pew, pew. That's way too big to be a patchwork farmland. Because these are patchwork farmlands over here. See? They're that size, not that size. That's way too big. So I don't know. I don't know what those were. Or are. No clue. You can see the beautiful Terek River creating all of this marshland nearby. Perfect for the farms nearby as well. It's a beautiful little corner of the world. Yeah, I always just assumed that it was just a wasteland of mountains, kind of like the Himalayas, you know, where it's just like little villages and just mountains and like nothing else. But no, it's lush and green. Look at all the trees down here as we enter the mountains. It's a beautiful little corner. And I guess, I don't know, we just have that, at least I do. I did have that misconception that places that, you know, become war zones are just like, you know, ugly places in the world with nothing there. But it couldn't be further from the truth, could it? Look at this little spine of mountains here. Let's see what Colmy looks like a park. It's a big rock. I do love me some big rocks. Someone's carved something in it. Hopefully that's not a bad word. I just flashed a bad word. But we saw that photoshopped image of the gay pride flag, right? This is not a very gay-friendly place. Russia's not a very gay-friendly place, or LGBT-friendly place, right? Yeah, I'll just leave it at that. I'm actually going to leave it there. My cats just wandered in and I can hear them scratching at stuff. So we're going to end it here. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this style of content, please consider subscribing. Look at this picture. Oh, that's not the one I wanted to show you. Where'd it go? Oh, you know what? It wasn't for Grozny. It was for Chechnya. Tomorrow, this picture. So pretty. The nightlife. Tomorrow, we're still going to be in Russia, going to a different oblast. One that also has a reputation in Russia for something completely different than this, but also one that went viral in 2013. Can you guess what it was? It was all over the internet for a hot minute. Do you know what it was? Let me know in the comments if you know what I'm talking about. And be sure to subscribe so you won't miss out. Also, while you're down there, don't forget to hit that like button. I'd really, really appreciate it. Let me know all your thoughts down below. I hope that you found this video to be relaxing and educational, and I hope that you have a good night.